But first, let's get into the state recap, the state review. How do you think the game went?
We won, so that was huge. The defense looked a lot better. There were a lot of really good takeaways, and so that's exciting as a fan to feel pretty good coming out of that game. But there were definitely still a lot of concerns as well, especially on the fundamental stuff like penalties. Penalties were a huge deal. We had 14, 11 of them were on offense. 8 of them were holding or false starts, so the offensive line play was pretty sloppy for much of the game, and the reality is we weren't going up against the SEC defensive line. These are not, in all likelihood, former or future NFL pass rushers that we're holding and that we're creating penalties and issues in that way. Shout out Kyle Ferry. He's in my notes for hitting the MS. He set the record for Mississippi State as far as field goal yardage goes, 55 yards. He hit that yesterday. But the offense, it was fun to watch. Ran the ball a lot, made good use of Bothwell and Booth, which was really cool. And then the thing I'll say about quarterback is I thought Chapin played well. I don't think that am as optimistic about him as I was coming out of the first game last year, but that's just because he threw for a lot. There's just a lot more yardage and a lot more touchdowns, I believe, in that first game last year. So this year it started out not necessarily slower. We didn't score on the first play. It took us 5 plays. So that was one takeaway, but I'm excited. There are people who are calling for Kamario Taylor to start after yesterday, which I thought that was crazy. That really bothered me because Kamario Taylor didn't throw a pass. He came in and had 1 rush and then 1 touchdown that a 3-yard touchdown. They got called back.
Who was calling for it?
Burners and other people.
Okay.
They're all it's not like people whose faces are on the Twitter accounts, but it still just bothers me to see even Burners being like, Kamario Taylor needs to start. He's our best chance. I'm like, Chapin threw for 270 yards and a touchdown, and he had an interception, sure, but it's just not. Kamario Taylor is not ready yet. So that was one of my takeaways. Is our fans are insane.
Was that Lenore's running it in?
Yeah,
Lenore just ran in for 15 yards.
What are your thoughts on the game, JP?
I thought it was as good as it could have gone, honestly. I was completely expecting the slow start. I scored a touchdown on the first drive. To get beat on a double move by a tight end, I thought was just embarrassing.
It's tough scenes for sure.
And I do hope that what we saw yesterday with Seydou Traore is something we continue to see. He was not used really much at all last year, and for the kind of weapon he is at the tight end position, he needs to be used more. He has 5 catches yesterday, second on the team to only Brendan Thompson, and of course the big 55-yard touchdown to start the game. I would love to see more of Seydou Traore this year, and to see that very early on was a promising sign. I thought specifically the defense was really, really good. A lot better than they were against Toledo. A lot better than they were, of course, in SEC play. Braylon Braxton ran for 58 yards on 12 carries. Kind of subpar. Doesn't meet one of the keys to the game that I gave, which was don't let Braylon out-physical us. But the rest of USM ran for 46 yards, 2.09 yards per carry.
Yeah.
That is really, really good. That's something that is very positive to see, because if you saw our preview, I talked about the backs like Briggs Jr. and then the transfer from the school up north. I thought were going to be huge parts of USM's attack offensively, and they were shut down for the most part yesterday. Robert Briggs had 7 carries for 18 yards. Matt Jones, 5 carries for 11. Jeffrey Pittman, former Bulldog, got a bunch of carries, 9 carries for 16 yards. The rushing defense was really, really solid. I thought that was a huge positive. Something that I also thought was a positive defensively, every single defensive player that made the trip yesterday took snaps in that game. And I think that's a huge positive, because last year depth was a huge issue, especially when injuries occurred throughout the season, and you had just had guys coming in with no experience. And for Jeff Lebby to be able to get his players in and get them experience really early on in the season against kind of a hostile crowd, a road environment regardless, I thought was a huge positive for the team, for the locker room. I love the thought of bringing in Kamario Taylor and giving him snaps like that, like to give him confidence really early on in the season. Damn, I wish he got the touchdown.
Yeah, that was
instead
tough.
of the holding call, because I think that would have done huge numbers for him going on in his career. I'll say I don't think he should play very much more the rest of the season, because I think Luke Cromenworth can do the exact same thing Kamario's doing. I think he can be the running threat that Kamario was in those packages, and he was. I mean, Luke ran 3 times for 21 yards yesterday late in the game. Defensively as well, Whit Whitson was really, really good. 2.5 TFLs, one of which was a sack. Offensively, Brendan Thompson was really, really good. 7 catches, 92 yards, a 51-yard strike, of course, where he was just bobbing and weaving guys the entire way down the field. That was really nice to see. I think it was a little 9-yard completion, and he's able to take it for a really huge gain.
I think I called touchdown on that, like right as he turned, because
I think
just,
he
like,
did,
he
yeah.
has way too much space.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
too
and
fast.
he should have scored. And then there was just a receiver and safety that pop into frame as he gets inside the 10-yard line. He unfortunately gets stopped. Thankfully, we were able to score a touchdown, because that drive almost looked like we were about to get stopped for another field goal the first drive of the second half. Anthony Evans perhaps had the highlight of the day with a little hurdle down the sideline where he completely cleared the linebacker. Either that or, like Sanders said, Kyle Ferry's 55-yarder was...
It was almost the Isaac Smith interception, which he probably could have come down with the ball.
Yeah.
I don't hate his body was taking him very much out of bounds. I don't hate trying to toss it back in. I mean, in hindsight, yeah, it looked like his foot was going to be down, but I like the attempt.
His foot did come down in bounds. I don't think he expected it to, so I don't hate the attempt either. But it is just tough when, as he's throwing the ball, his foot comes down in
Yep.
bounds.
I think another one, like defensively, we gave up the garbage time touchdown with the backups essentially in. And then the other touchdown, that was like pure luck. Like it just gets deflected and then somehow ends up in the guy's hands as he's falling down to the ground for a touchdown. I think we probably would have stopped him inside the goal line had they not got that. And then my last positive point, the 2 backs were incredible. Fluff and Devon Booth were really, really good all day. Booth, 16 carries, 79 yards, 4.9 per carry, and a touchdown. Fluff, who Abby is now calling Fluffy. So
I don't hate that at all.
new nickname for Fluff Bothwell, Fluffy. Had 10 carries, 43 yards, 4.3 yards per carry, of course, and 2 touchdowns himself. I thought Chapin was accurate, played with poise, but the ball security was not something I liked. Fumbling very early on, and then the pick was just a bad throw.
That's
Yeah.
the type of pick I throw in college football. 26,
that's exactly what I was about to say.
Where, like, I'm just staring down the slant or whatever it was, and the linebacker's there the whole time. So,
And then penalties, as you noted, Sanders, huge, 14 penalties, 119 yards. We had 2 touchdowns that were called back due to penalties. I'll say last 2 positives, though, and these are stat ones. 11 for 17 on 3rd down on the road. I don't care who we're playing. I don't care that Southern Miss only won 1 game last year. 11 for 17 on the road on 3rd down. That's impressive. I really like to see that. That's something we really struggled with last year, was sustaining drives. And to be able to do that on the road was a good start to the season. And then the defense held Southern Miss to 1 for 3 on 4th down. That's another just a great positive, keeping them from extending drives. So for me, I thought it went as good as you could have gone. The keys to the game, we punched early with the first touchdown, nailed that. Braylon Braxton did out-physical us, but the rest of the run game did not. And then I still think we're a little bit there to go for showtime, which was my last key to the game. But I'm hoping that's something we'll see here in a week in Starkville. But I thought the game went as good as it could have gone for the realistic expectations you should have. I was never concerned about us not covering all the way back to when we knew this was the first game of the season at the end of last year. And we did cover, even though they made a late attempt to cover. USM did. But I'm happy as a state fan.
as you should be.
And I'm impressed with the team, and it makes you excited to see what will occur here in a week.
Sure.
All right.
Or any thoughts from the chat right now?
Yeah. Sven, Andrew, Tucker, if y'all have thoughts on State. Yeah. I also loved, as far as the defense goes, I loved seeing, I feel like, adjustments. I feel like, because Southern Miss scored on they scored early too, right? And so the fact that we didn't let them score another touchdown until garbage time, that was big. So the defense, I think that's my biggest takeaway is the defense improving. The offense was good, put up 34 points. We kind of expected the offense to be good because that's what Levy does, and we had a decent offense last year, even with the freshman quarterback starting. But seeing improvement from the defense, I think, is the biggest thing that State fans should be excited about.
Tell you what, Michael Van Buren looks really good in UVA blue and orange.
He really does.
He looks
He
great.
really does. We did not recruit a high schooler because we didn't want him to transfer out.
He's been a huge piece for us, but it was a big win. I watched a good bit of it. We had it on the computer with Ohio State, Texas on the TV, but we watched a good bit.
Tucker makes a good point. I think Kelly Jones did look really good yesterday. Isaac Smith is going to be probably a draft pick as well. But to see Brylan Lanier play with confidence was huge. And even if the pick was it's a mistake you can't make as a quarterback that Braylon Braxton did, which is to throw over the flat of the cover 2 corner. And Brylan Lanier, though, gets depth and he makes a play on the ball. And I hope that builds confidence for him this year, because last year there were plays where it was just obvious this guy has no confidence.
It was the Tennessee game. There was a bad one, right?
The Tennessee game, there was a bad one. The Georgia game, there was an awful one where he makes almost no effort to tackle a guy as he's going into the end zone. To see him play with confidence yesterday, which he did, even with the interception, outside of that, he played really, really well, was a positive to see. And I hope that builds confidence for him going forward, because the DBs are going to have to be big next week with Jordan Tyson coming to town, and they're going to have to play well for us to have a chance in that game. But I was positive to see that out of them.